A beloved teacher from a town in North Carolina goes missing while hiking in a small town in Mexico. What do you believe happened? Let's get into the facts about this. Welcome back to a new video. Today's story starts in North Carolina. Patrick Braxton Andrew was a Spanish teacher at the Woodlawn School in Mooresville. He was adored by family, friends and students alike. Known for his intense love of food, travelling and his loving nature, he would make students feel welcome and comfortable around him. His brother Kerry said this about him, quote, "Braxton Andrew was so well liked by his students and so trusted by their parents that they'd invite him over for family dinners, that he accompanied kids to concerts and that he was often requested to chaperone the kids to school parties. He's very passionate about taking care of these kids and making sure they're set up for success." Before becoming a Spanish teacher, Patrick bought a one-way ticket to Mexico City and started backpacking his way south toward Costa Rica. Braxton wound up living with a family in Guatemala, and then when he returned to North Carolina 13 months later, he was fluent in Spanish, which was a language he previously had issues with in school. On October 24th, Patrick went to Mexico as he vowed to return to the country. He was an experienced traveller and went alone. This time, however, he had organised to meet his brother Kerry in Mexico City to celebrate the Day of the Dead on October 30th, but unfortunately he never showed up. This was alarming to his brother, as he stated he always stuck to his plans. Patrick was last seen leaving his hotel Mexico village Urique in the state of Chihuahua. This village is known for hiking as it had high cliffs and mountain peaks. The town has a population of 1,102 respectively, and it is located at the bottom of Copper Canyon with spectacular views of the mountain peaks. It really is a beautiful location. You can see why Patrick had went to this location. His parents, Gary Andrew and Jean Braxton, vowed to stay in Mexico until their son's body is found. They were actually just beginning an unrelated vacation in the Mexican town of Tulum, almost 2,000 miles away from Urique. When they learned of Patrick's disappearance, however, they cut that trip short and flew to Mexico City as soon as they could. Chihuahua's governor, Javier Corral, informed Patrick's parents that they had information that Patrick had been killed at the hands of a Sinaloa cartel, which was previously ran by drug kingpin El Chapo. He is now in a prison in America for numerous charges. Now, as you can understand, this came as a big shock to the parents and the family of Patrick. The governor had confirmed that he was hiking in an area known as La Playeta when he reportedly encountered members of a Sinaloa cartel allegedly run by Jose Noriel Portillo Gil. His nickname was El Chacho, or the Crooked One, he was also called. The governor had confirmed there was a manhunt underway looking for this alleged suspect. On November the 15th, 2018, Patrick's family had announced the deaths of Patrick with great sadness. Patrick's body was found about a mile away from the road leading to the village of Guapalana to Los Lajas in Urique. It is believed that he was placed there from a different location, as his body had traces of reddish dirt and pine leaves, but had been placed on a stony surface in an area that lacked vegetation. The killers had buried Patrick's body initially, but due to the pressure put on by the search team, the body was exhumed and abandoned near the town of Guapalana. Autopsy results show that Patrick died from a gunshot wound to the head. Patrick was killed on the 28th of October, 2 days after he arrived to the village of Urique.
After a frantic search, Mexican authorities say they have found the body of missing North Carolina teacher Patrick Braxton Andrew, and that he was killed by a member of a drug cartel. Braxton Andrew was vacationing in Mexico. He was alone. He disappeared last month while walking near his resort in the northern Mexico town of Urique. Diane Gallagher is our CNN national correspondent with more on this whole investigation and just how awful for this family. Tell us more about what he was doing down there and what authorities believe happened.
So, Brooke, this was something that he tended to do quite a bit. He would go to Mexico, he'd go to Latin America. He was a Spanish teacher and really loved the culture there. Now, the governor of Chihuahua claims that the Sinaloa cartel is responsible for his murder. Now, if that name sounds familiar to you, that's the cartel that El Chapo used to command before, of course, he was captured and is now on trial. But in a Facebook post from the governor, he pinned Braxton Andrews' killing on a drug trafficker known as El Chuceco, or the Crooked. He says the middle school teacher died October 28th. That is the last day that he was seen by anyone. He left for a walk from his hotel to this canyon area. His body was found last week on a beach near that town of Urique, but beyond that, the death is kind of shrouded in mystery, Brooke. The governor's office says it appears the 34-year-old Spanish teacher's body had been buried and then exhumed and then just left out in the open. But he hasn't gone into detail as to how he was killed or even why he may have been targeted at this point. He called it a cowardly and brutal murder of a totally innocent person, but then he said it had nothing to do with an attempt to purchase drugs. Late last night, a Facebook page that's been run by his family and friends during this search confirmed, they said with a sense of relief, that his body was found and recovered. They're working on getting it back to North Carolina. Brooke, after learning of his death, they posted, Patrick died doing what he loved, traveling and meeting people. Join us in celebrating his life as he would want us all to do. We will always remember Patrick and his joy for life. Then later they added, although we are still grieving for Patrick, we have work to do and we're asking for your help. We continue to search for justice for Pat. A little bit later, Senator Tom Tillis, who actually lives near where Patrick taught Spanish at Woodlawn School, tweeted that he's working with the State Department and Mexican officials on the investigation. And Brooke, just like you said, you can imagine the past few weeks have been so difficult for his family and friends and really the whole community there north of Charlotte, not knowing what's going on, then getting this news and not having the answers. The school that he taught at canceled classes on Friday because of the news. And in Davidson, they lowered the flag to half staff to honor him in his memory, but really just so difficult for that community there.
I know people who knew the family.
Same.
And they had been looking for him.
Yep.
They had wanted help, and now to find out that he is gone like this is just, it's awful.
Yeah.
Diane, thank you for the update and just thinking of this family back in North Carolina. Appreciate it.
Now, in the aftermath of this case, there was a big cry out for how and why this would happen to an innocent man who suffered the misfortune of crossing paths with a drug cartel. We will discuss some reasons on a possible scenario which led to Patrick's life being unfortunately taken. Now, some people believe Patrick stumbled upon something he wasn't supposed to see, which is a case of in the wrong place at the wrong time. He was in and around the hills of Sierra Madre, which is where the violent Sinaloa cartel operate, and it is where a lot of cartel leaders have fled to and now are hiding. The region is known locally as the Golden Triangle because it is where Mexican cartels grow most of the drugs they traffic to the US. The next and final theory, which is stated to be the reason why Patrick was killed, the theory is that the cartel had seen him to be an undercover DEA agent, as he was an American man at the heart of their operation. There's a famous case in Mexico and the United States, cases of DEA agent Kiki Camarena. He was an agent who was undercover in Mexico in the 80s. He caused a lot of hassle to the drug cartel at that time, and they had kidnapped him and murdered him. Let me read this out, which I found on a website which is called Mexico Daily News. I found it very interesting. Some Urique residents believe the gang killed Braxton Andrew thinking he was the US Drug Enforcement Administration. The fluent Spanish speaker asked a lot of questions about the culture of the region, they said, and spent time exploring the area. In addition, his knowledge of the language set him apart from most tourists. On the day he disappeared, he attended a party where there were armed civilians belonging to Gente Nueva. Locals suspect they felt threatened by the man, so they killed him. I personally think it could have been either of the three theories. Patrick unfortunately went deep into the Sinaloa cartel territory, where the cartel operate on a daily basis, and they took his life, unfortunately. It seems that Mexico is a beautiful place to travel, but it seems that it is quite dangerous in certain areas. This is heartbreaking for his family, friends and community. I will leave you with some memorable, heartwarming pictures and kind
That was our stop.